Welcome. Welcome, everyone. Let's take a minute and close the eyes, just wherever you are. Just for a moment to assess the inner quality of self-energy. So take a seat, close the eyes. And just a brief moment here to highlight the particular quality of presence that you're bringing with you as you transition from peripheral life lived on the surface, and you journey into the inner methods of contemplative practice. So how does it feel? The energy of the inner domain. So as you begin to navigate towards center self, or the energy that's accessible when we're centered, you'll find, particularly on the fringes of the practice, the start of the practice, that you hover on one range, one side of center. You may feel now you're either on the edge of a little more angst or anxiety, the stimulative yang energy. So perhaps you're vibrating a little bit more intensely, frenetically. And then the other realm might be this, what's called sinking or lethargy, a dullness in the energy body. A sense of collapse or exhaustion, overwhelm. So just noting how you might oscillate from the center. Too much yang or too much yin. So we'll apply the antidote as we move into the texture of the practice. If you feel yang, if you feel an excitation of energy, then I'll ask you to lay down on your back and perhaps take the legs into Baddha Konasana, butterfly legs. Okay? And because there's excess stimulation in the system, I'll ask you also to choose not to play any music for the practice. Okay? Now, if you have an excess of yin, if you're feeling tired, lethargic, then I'll ask you to move into Sphinx pose to begin the practice. So laying on the belly and propping yourself on the forearms. And before you do, if you choose to, you can also use the rare occurrence of my Yin playlist for the heart and lung channels. And again, this is only if your nervous system feels like it could use a little uplift. Otherwise, we're gonna gravitate away from stimulus. So choose option A or option B. And then wherever you are, close the eyes. And we'll begin. So I want to speak particularly today to the respiratory and circulatory systems, which work together, the vital organs of heart and lung. So we take in oxygen, chi, prana through the respiratory system. It moves into the blood vessels that then circulate this pranic rich blood to the tissues, to the cells. So the heart then pumps it through the body, the cells, the tissues, and of particular interest in Yin to the organs. Using that rich oxygenated source. And then any carbon dioxide in the component of the blood cells carried back to the lungs, where it's removed from the body when you exhale. So heart and lungs working in tandem. And that's the motivation for this practice. We'll work what's called the upper sky channels of the heart and the lungs, because stagnation in these systems are particularly common in the event of any emotional pain. So grief, which is a pervasive human experience, suffering, loss, unites us, common humanity, to experience loss. And even the everyday pain of not having our particular needs met. So we'll be working heart-lung lines through the shoulder heads, the arms, through the fingers, thoracic spine, the chest, the neck, tongue, all of it soft now. Because in softening, we find the spaciousness for human experiences to travel through. There's a segment of the Neijing, a Chinese medical ancient text, speaks on the emotional trajectory through the organs. It says, sadness makes the heart cramped and agitated. This pushes towards the lungs, becoming obstructed, where heat accumulates and chi cannot circulate freely. So this is the skillful application then of attending to chi circulation to move stagnated emotions through the system. And we'll do that as we always do by entering into low belly center first. We're drawing awareness down into low belly. That hosting space, the wide, still, clear lake bed of Hara. Where non-biased dwelling space exists within you. So we can hold grief, which is probably the most primordial emotion. Plays a huge role in the mental, emotional problems we see in practice. We hold sorrow. We allow space for loss and the repercussions of loss. And then we gather chi into the midline for 3 more rounds of breath so that those emotions feel attended to, the skillful application of whatever grievances you're carrying. 1 more round of breath here. And then I'd like you to find a child's pose. So if you're in Sphinx, just take a moment to rest on the belly and then come through onto your knees. And if you're on your back, you'll come up and through to a balasana where the knees are together. And so you'll rest the low belly on the tops of the thigh bones. And for this practice, I'll ask you to draw the hands behind you. You'll clasp the fingertips. So we'll grip the knuckles together. And I want you to find a really nice compression, like you're squeezing the joints of the knuckles of the fingers, the base of the fingers together tightly, a nice compression here as you draw third eye down. And even though the fingers are clasped, let the arm bones go heavy. So it's almost as if the front of the shoulder heads drop down and in, like you're collapsing through the front space, but allowing some spaciousness in the base of the neck and softness in the elongation of cervical spine. 3 breaths. Keep the fingers gripped as they are, just noticing which thumb is on top. And inhale, start to reach the fists up towards the sky, and maybe even towards the crown as the inner scapula, the inner shoulder blades pull towards the spine. So to whatever degree is available to you, lifting the arm bones. And then exhale like you're threading through the shoulder girdle. The fists draw back towards the sacrum. And as they come all the way down, you'll give your knuckles a little squeeze, a little compression here, fingertips pressing to the top of the opposite hand, and then switch the grip of the thumbs, opposite thumb on top. In breath, arms lift. Out breath, arm bones lower. As the arm bones lower, it's like you're pressing the breath out of the back lobes of the lungs. Switch the grip again, opposite thumb on top. In breath, lift. Filling to the top of the collarbones. And then exhale, lower. Pressing out, drawing down. Again, in breath, lift, switch the grip. Shoulder heads draw down, inner scapula pull together, the heart melts towards the knees. Exhale, lower. One more time through on your own breath. The exhalation will release the grip of the fingers and you'll draw the hands to the heels like you're taking rabbit pose. Give yourself a little foot massage here. The fingers along the inner ridge, the inner arch of the feet. Nice compression of the heels. The sit bones draw back and down. Inhale, draw the crown of the head to the ground and lift the hips up. Straighten through the arm bones. Curl through thoracic spine, rabbit pose. Stay here and draw the upper arm bones down. Spread through the back of the heart, navel pulls in. Exhale, hips come down to the heels. Hands draw behind you, they point towards the back of the mat, lifting onto the front of the ankle joint, the knees lift up, you curl open from the sternum. So whole front of the abdomen curls open through the neck, soft through the jaw, breathe. Draw the inner ankles towards one another, get a nice stretch to the front of the shin, through the ankles, the top of the feet, the connective tissue of the anterior chain, the front body. Change. Exhale, lower. Front of the ankles, get that nice massage as the knees drop. Hands come to heels, rabbit pose. There's the in-breath as you curl through thoracic spine. Find the out-breath as you press hips back, sit bones down to heels. Fingers draw long behind you, lift up onto the ankles, knees lift. That was 2 times. We'll go 5 times in total for many of the sequence today. So 3, inhale, rabbit. Exhale, we'll call this kneeling camel. For 4, the rabbit on the in-breath, curling, rounding in, find the crown of the head, and lift through the back space of the heart, spread. Exhale, hips come down, stay with the exhale, even though you're opening through the front space of the low belly, curling open through the sternum. And one more time on your own breath. Heart and lung line helps us to clear out. We're working the respiratory channel, so any excess of allergies, the pollen in the air, just the liveliness of spring, we're drawing that in and clearing excess out. We'll meet in a version of tabletop. Knees stay down, tops of feet stay down, but hands in front of you. And then we'll inhale and draw the sternum through the gates of the upper arms, and you let the belly hang. So almost like you are in cow pose, yeah? Energetically draw the thumbs towards one another and back towards the knees. So you're tractioning through the middle spine all the way up to the collarbones. Push them forward. And then exhale into your cat pose. Chin comes in, belly draws back and up, and you lift the knees up. Coming onto the front of the feet. Again, knees drop, curl open, inhale. Exhale, draw in, knees lift. 3 more times. And it's some active yang energy we're bringing in. The heart and the lungs, the upper sky channels have quite a bit of yang activity. So pumping the knees up towards sternum, take some activity. And it's the circulation that we're instigating here, which the heart benefits from strongly. Beautiful. Knees down and all the way onto the belly, full pranam. We'll get some yin to mix in with the yang. Arms go forward, heads come down, tops of the feet on the floor, rest. So hara is that space of non-biased attitude. It's innate. It's the perfect wholeness within. We don't ever need to build it or even maintain it. It always exists. It's always there. That inner presence, your Buddha nature. It's like the storehouse for your vitality, that pranic elixir, low belly. We'll come up into Sphinx pose, popping onto the forearms. And some of you, particularly if you already had a Sphinx pose in this practice, you might find seal by straightening through the arm bones, pressing down and forward with the wrist crease, pulling the inner leg line towards one another. So while the hara is non-biased, the heart has some particular preferences, yeah? Some stronger than others. So it's said that the attitude of the heart actually needs to be cultivated. We have to endeavor through some particular contemplative inquiry practices to develop the boundless quality of a selfless heart. We actually have to conjure up or stir up those attitudes. They don't always come naturally. So one in particular is kshama, forgiveness. Learning to forgive ourselves for our wounded parts, our imperfections, our vulnerabilities. I invite you to just breathe that in for a few rounds of breath. The invitation to accept the parts of you that have really messed up. Just inviting those parts into the practice as you get soft and wide in the heart space, the front of the heart, the sides, the back, the throat, the shoulders, the tongue. And then we'll draw the left arm across the body. It's going to straighten out to the right corner of the mat. And the right arm bone crosses on top. So we're making an X with the arms. The chin rests right at the apex of that pose. It should look like this. Arm bones down, and you should feel intense, perhaps, sensation through the outer ridge of the bicep, perhaps the left outer shoulder head. And then also with the chin down on the right arm bone, there's this nice lock, the Jalandhara Bandha at the throat, just a nice compression here. Go soft in the eyes, the temple, the inner gaze travels down. And notice the inner dialogue of heart and throat chakra. Because the heart speaks through the throat. Press the finger pads down. Some activation of the chi points here. Lung channel through the thumb, heart through the pinky. Stay here with the arms and then tee the legs out wide. So walk the heels away to make a V with the legs. Press the feet down into the floor. Just feel how this changes the orientation of the low pelvis to spine. So a little compression through the SI joints. We're strengthening the back of the pelvis. On an inhale, cactus the elbows, draw pubic bone down, lift the chest, lift the head. Draw the elbows back, fingers breeze through the space around you as the heels come to touch behind you like diamond legs. Maybe the thighs lift off the ground. Strong engagement through the back body. 3 breaths. Keep drawing the elbow tips back. Sternum goes forward, pubic bone down. Release, right arm comes underneath this time. Left arm comes over. And the feet come back towards one another for the stretch on the other side. And this will feel maybe a little bit wonkier, a little bit different. As you walk the fingertips out and find that deep stretch through the muscle fibers of the biceps, chin comes down for the lock. Feel the pulse of prana in the throat, the circulation of blood, the heart, working effortlessly for you. And then give it some space to settle. Heels come wide again, Ving out the legs, tops of the feet on the floor. Inhale to your cactus, unraveling the upper arm bones, drawing the elbow tips back, the fingers graze towards the shoulder heads, heels come together, thighs lift. 3 breaths. Release, hands underneath the shoulder heads, tops of the feet on the floor, and lift all the way up onto the toes. Heels press back as the pelvis supports itself on the back of the heels. And the inner heels come together. The knees will come out wide. How's everyone doing? Okay, we'll get some lengthening through the connective tissue in the posterior chain now, particularly through the soles of the feet. If this is too intense, you can always come down onto the hands. Fingertips come together for Kali Mudra. We'll grasp the fingers and the pointer fingers come out. Draw them forward. Stay here or lift the arm bones up and overhead, and we'll come through Kapalabhati, breath of fire. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale again, lift the pelvic floor, squeeze the heels. And begin. Short, sharp pumps of the exhalation through the nostrils as you draw the navel back, pelvic floor up, perineum lifts, low belly corsets in. Keep going. Keep going, twist to the right. Clearing out the left lung. Twist to the left. Keep going, clearing out right lung. And inhale, center. Deep breath in, lift, lift, lift through the shoulder head. And exhale, release the grip, cactus the elbows. Bright through the fingers. Press through the fingers. Any stagnation, congestion from typing, draw that out from the palms through the fingertips. And then side bend over to the left. So the left elbow comes to the outer hip. And then the right hand will reach lengthwise up and over, straightening through that right arm bone. Draw the outer hips towards one another. So cinch the SI joints towards one another. If there's any low back pain here, navel draws in and back. Stay here or reach the left arm long as well. And energetically draw the palms towards one another, stretching through right lung. 3, 2, 1. Change, cactus the elbows, come up. Right elbow to the outer hip, left arm up and overhead, lengthening through the side body. The rib cage on the left side will lift up and away from the pelvis. The outer glutes and hips pull in, and maybe we go for the elongation of right arm as you press the palms together strongly. 3, 2, and 1. Change. Cactus the elbows. Draw the hands behind you. We'll come off of the feet and into a wide-legged camel pose. So press the thigh bones firmly forward. Draw the pubic bone forward and down. Sternum bone up and back. 3 breaths. Pull the arm bones towards one another. Spread the heart. And then exhale, child's pose. Tops of the feet on the floor. Stay wide kneed here this time. And walk the fingertips forward. Press the hips back and soften. Beautiful. Just gonna come by and check you all out here. Fingers go soft. Arm bones heavy. Beautiful. Again, conjuring up the attitude of kshama, forgiveness. It's a divine abode, a divine behavior to regularize how we approach ourselves, how we hold our wounds, and how we navigate our suffering so that we might be a more compassionate channel for the experience of loss and grief that we help others hold. We choose to approach ourselves with loving kindness, and it becomes a training ground for how we interact in our interpersonal experience. Right? That's why we practice the bodhicitta, awakened heart, for the sake of others. Okay. So draw the fingertips back. And the left arm bone underneath the right for an eagle wrap. Fingertips to the sky. 5 times in a clockwise rotation here. So all the way over and down. As you pull the elbow points towards one another and towards the belly, you'll get an interesting stretch through the lungs as you move into your lateral flexion and around. And also helping digestion, the circulation of what's called nutritive chi. Five times in this direction. Let the head go, let the neck go. And find that unlocking through the intercostal muscles, the back sides of the ribs, the erector spinae on either side of the vertebra. Just opening up some areas of neglect in the back body. Open the arms up when you've reached your 5. Just unravel, bring the hands up and overhead. And circle them down so you floss through the underbelly of the rotator cuff and take the opposite grip. So right arm bone will be underneath this time. And we'll go around the opposite way. It's like you're churning any undigested emotion. And you're letting that integrate into the mind stream so it has a chance to be addressed. It has a chance to be heard. Whatever grief, whatever resentment, any bitterness, ways you could have approached a circumstance more skillfully. Just applying the wisdom now, the acceptance, the forgiveness now. The arms unravel as you reach up and overhead, fingertips bright, And then we come through melting heart Anahatasana, arm bones forward, pelvis stacks over the knees, tops of the feet on the floor, walk the arms away from the heart, but pull the shoulder heads in. So as you draw the humerus bone back, the sternum will come forward, yeah? And then the collarbones stay wide as you set the top of the rib cage down. Either chin or forehead down. And if you've been looking down at your device a lot today, then I'd recommend, if it's possible, for the chin to be placed down so you get that nice counter compression in the base of the cervical spine, C7, that knobby vertebra at the top of the shoulder girdle. Compressing that back so the occipital ridge, the base of the skull, is kind of cradled in the top ridge of the shoulders. We'll take 5 rounds of breath. Draw the navel up and pull the inner thighs towards one another. Shoulder heads back, keep coaxing sternum forward. I can feel you all out there with me. If the chin is down, bring the forehead down. Walk the fingertips under the shoulders. Tuck the toes and lift all the way up, down, down. A little activity again to the young. Because we've activated so much attention of chi in the upper body, we'll use that to drape down to the torso and legs so that the whole organism just becomes awash in the radiative prana. So first, by way of fingertips pressing down, and the forearms drawing in. The upper arm bones rolling away as the back of the heart melts to the front of the heart melts down. And then inhale from the heart down into hara. So filling up from the heart all the way down to low belly, big in-breath. And exhale, hover at the hara, widen here through the low belly, soften, and drape the pelvis back all the way through the hamstrings, back of the knees, to the heels, draping down. 2 more breaths like that. Inhale, heart to hara. Exhale, lingering in the hara, but pressing the thigh bones back firmly. Widening through the base of the pelvis. Inhale, heart to hara. And exhale, widen that source of chi, that deep riverbed at the low belly. The source of compassion, forgiveness, selfless joy for others, loving kindness. Coming off of the wrists, we'll draw the fingertips back to the feet for a very forgiving standing forward bend, meaning knees bent. Feet can come as wide as you like, and for those of you looking for a deeper lengthening, opening through the posterior chain, the back body, feet come together, yeah? And the head drapes down. For this forward bend, I'll ask you to draw opposite fingertips across the body, hugging the outer ridge of the scapula. Like you're giving yourself a big hug, but you're also using the pressure of the fingers to pull the scapula off of the spine. So you're spreading the back of the heart wide. I like to say the wings of the heart spreading wide behind you. And then just really subtle drawing, like you were drawing a line in the sand with the elbow tips, forward and back, forward and back. A gentle rocking here of the shoulder girdle, of the arm bones, like you were cradling yourself, cradling your heart, any sorrow, attending like a mother would to her crying child. Allowing, hosting, holding the emergence of longing, bereavement, grief, safe holding place, and a soft touch of loving kindness. We will switch the grip, so opposite arm on top. You might rock slowly side to side, just bending very slightly into one knee and then into the other, like you're waving through the middle spine. And really softly internally, just words of affirmation for those wounded inner children, any parts of you that haven't felt loved or seen. I'm here now. I'm proud of you. I hold you, I celebrate you. Just using the last few breaths, this quality time with the inner self and any wounded parts. Releasing, fingertips down, knees down, tops of the feet on the ground, child's pose with the tops of the hands by the feet, third eye down, and rest. There's just the gentlest touch here. Of full acceptance. And appreciation for the precious impermanence. Knowing that the burdens you carry now will be lifted. And you'll feel lighter. And there will be brightness and space. And you'll look back almost with a witty reflection. And that's the arc of intensity with our troubles. They emerge, they climax, and they dissolve. And we'll make way for new ways to suffer and new ways to open. And that's the edge of our own evolution. Inhale and come up. And we'll address liver, spleen, and kidney channel. Because we work so much on the upper skies, we'll end in a pose for the lower body meridians. So either a wide-legged forward bend, or you can take butterfly with the soles of the feet together, knees wide. Either way, we'll be moving into forward flexion. Okay, and we'll spend 3 minutes in this shape. So if you need any props, any support, just skillfully attending to your own system. And then any part of your field of awareness that's drifted outside of the feeling body, we just draw that back into center, knowing that experience can fragment us, it can split into different parts. So just utilizing this shape to become whole again and again. And so we can utilize pranayama to support that objective. The breath is a vehicle to move prana. So if we want to galvanize attention to the center, we'll breathe in on the in-breath into the low belly. And our perception, awareness fields will follow, highlighting that attention at the center. Exhaling, I'll suggest you send any accumulated debris, any frustration out the inner leg line all the way through the base of the big toe knuckle at the kidney 1 point. Inhaling, just drawing the activity of your chi body to the center. And the exhalation, the spreading of awareness through the kidney channel, inner leg line, all the way through base of big toe, cleansing that stream. And one more time here. And release the patterned effort of breath. And just soak in the field of chi. We'll inhale and come up. And exhale, draw the legs together and long. Just take a moment in seated pose. Before coming down into Shavasana. All the way down onto the back with the limbs long, as if to release any last tension through all regions of the body. We'll do a practice in Shavasana to cultivate the divine abode in the heart center of forgiveness. What the Buddhist text would call kshama. So, in your heart, arrive. Notice the weight. And notice the space as well. As if you were exploring the inner caverns, all of the chambers of that whole kingdom of Anahata. And there's the boundless open sky and the elegant castle walls. And always the green, bright, vital green of the open field. Just exploring the inner landscape of the heart. Like you're taking to the field and barefoot, dewy grass, brushing the ankles. Just wandering through that rich, lush fertile landscape, the loving center. And in the field, you'll find a young boy or girl, a younger version of yourself, a part of yourself that existed long ago. And just notice what age they are. This inner child that still exists within you, that still longs to play in the grass, and just greeting them with an attitude of curiosity and care, and of course, compassion, karuna. Gaze at them, loving. And ask that child if it's aware of how much you love them. How much you care. And allowing him or her to voice now if there's any need that wasn't met, any time that this child felt insufficient, unloved, unworthy, uncertain. Allowing him or her some space to voice if they've ever felt lonely or lost. If they ever acted out of fear. And letting them know now that they can do no wrong. They're perfect. And that the self energy, the internal mother, is here to hold any grievances. Will lovingly apply care and tenderness where they haven't received that fully enough. I love you. Thank you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I'm always here for you. And allow the heart to become aware of that depth of field below it in the low belly. Like it has a rooted earth to ground upon. As you return ever more awakened at Hara. In your own time, coming to seated in your own way. To allow yourself to move luxuriously slow. Honor the transitions. And closing the eyes, I'll end with an incredible incantation to the ephemeral existence of life. A beautiful way to end the practice is the recognition of the impermanent privilege we have to cultivate these inner methods, to awaken the heart. We don't know what's in store ahead, so we utilize the time now to refine how lovingly we address the self. So this is this precious human body, written sometime in the 1400s. The human body at peace with itself is more precious than the rarest gem. Cherish your body. It is yours this one time only. All worldly things are brief, like lightning in the sky. This life you must know as the tiny splash of a raindrop. a thing of beauty that disappears even as it comes into being. Therefore, recall your inspiration and aspiration. Resolve to make use of every day and every night to realize them. Namaste.